All right, let's jump right in. Today we're tackling a really big question. How much debt does the state of Meghalaya actually have? Because, the official number? Well, that's just not the whole story. Not even close. So let's dig in.
And really, this whole investigation kicks off with this one simple but powerful idea. What if the number we're all told, the official debt figure, is just the tiny part of an iceberg we can see sticking out of the water? What if the real danger is hidden just below the surface?
So this is the key thing you've got to grasp. On one hand, you have the official debt. That's the clean number you see in the budget. But then there's the real debt, and that includes all the hidden stuff, the true burden. And our source material suggests this real debt, it could be double, maybe even triple the official figure.
So think of our job today as peeling back the layers of a giant financial onion. We're going to go step by step, beyond the official story, and really uncover all the hidden pieces of this massive debt mountain. And here's our roadmap. That first layer, the direct debt, that's the tip of the iceberg we've been talking about. But the real story, the part that's underwater, is in these other 4 layers. Things like contingent liabilities, unfunded pensions, unpaid bills, and losses from state-run companies. Let's break these down one by one. So, first up, we've got something called contingent liabilities. Sounds complicated, right? But it's actually pretty simple and kind of scary. Imagine a state company, say a power company, takes out a massive loan. The government says, hey, don't worry, we guarantee it. Well, if that company can't pay it back, and many can't, that possible problem suddenly becomes a very, very real debt for the taxpayer. It's like a hidden IOU. Next, there's this monster lurking in the shadows, unfunded pensions. The government has promised to pay pensions to its employees for decades. It's a massive future cost. But here's the kicker. The total amount needed isn't actually set aside in the budget. It's kept off book. But make no mistake, that bill is real, and one day it's going to come due.
Okay, so we've looked at what's hiding beneath the surface. Now for the moment of truth. Let's put all the pieces together and see what the real number actually looks like.
We'll start with the official number, the one you'll find in the state budget. 12,000 crore rupees. This is the clean, public figure. This is the tip of the iceberg.
But of course, we know that's not the whole story, right? Let's add in all that stuff that's been hidden below the surface.
And boom, here it is. When you start adding up the estimated costs of all those loan guarantees, the unfunded pensions, unpaid bills, you get an extra 13,500 crore rupees. Think about that. The hidden part is actually bigger than the entire official debt. So you add those two together, the official debt and all the hidden liabilities, and you finally get the real number. Meghalaya's true debt isn't 12,000 crore. It's a staggering 25,500 crore rupees. I mean, just look at this chart. It really puts it into perspective, doesn't it? That bar on the right is more than double the size of the official one. The reality of the situation is more than twice what's being publicly admitted.
Okay, so a number that big, 25,500 crore, it's hard to even wrap your head around it. It can feel really abstract. But this is not just some number on a spreadsheet. This is a burden that actually affects every single person.
Which of course leads to the most important question of all. When these hidden bills finally come due, when the piper has to be paid, who's gonna be footing the bill?
Well, the short answer is you. We all are. When you break down that massive real debt by the state's population, it comes out to nearly 73,000 rupees for every single man, woman, and child in Meghalaya.
And to make that even more concrete, think about it this way. For an average family of 4, their share of this hidden debt mountain is almost 3 lakh rupees. That's a huge debt that ordinary families will eventually have to pay for one way or another.
So you have to ask, right? If the problem is this massive, why isn't it common knowledge? Why is all this stuff hidden in the first place? Well, the reasons are really a mix of politics and some tricky economics.
It really boils down to a few key reasons. First, there's simple politics. No politician wants to admit the real scale of the problem. That's not a great way to win an election. Second, the accounting can be so complex that it's actually pretty easy to keep these things off the books. And what this leads to is basically a form of intergenerational theft. You spend big today and just let future generations figure out how to pay for it. And it all works because, frankly, when the public is kept in the dark, it's easy to get away with. And honestly, this quote from the source material just sums it all up perfectly. This isn't just about numbers. This is about the future. The cost of this debt will be paid,
and it'll be paid by future generations through things like higher taxes, cuts to important services, lost opportunities, and just years of tough, grinding austerity.
So, in the end, it all comes down to this one final question. A future that chooses accountability and transparency right now, or a future where the next generation is forced to pay the price for today's hidden debts. Which Meghalaya do we choose?